One of the most challenging parts of discussion teaching is when you put out a question and they don't respond. Silence is very difficult when it really takes two hands clapping. So let me offer a few thoughts about what happens when people don't react or engage. And I guess it starts with the issue that, this in fact can happen. And when it does happen, you have to somehow quickly at least speculate as to what may be behind it. It may be many reasons. Let me show you some of the reasons and suggest some ways in which at least I tend to try and solve them. First of all, maybe confusion about the question. Did they in fact understand it? So your first line of attack or response is try saying something like, let me try asking this differently, or let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back a step. Try and break the question into a more manageable part and a more succinct part. Rephrase it, make it simpler. Ask someone to reflect back their understanding of the question. See if I make sure you understand what I was asking. And even ask a question which in the beginning has a yes, no, or one-word answer, something that's easier for them to respond to before they get to something more challenging. Second of all, the question may have felt more threatening. Was the question in fact asked in an inviting or warm way? Now, again, sometimes questions, Socratic method, can have an edge to them, but if they're too edgy, you'll get sort of a resistance to that. So try saying, there are no wrong answers here, and it's okay if your thoughts aren't fully developed, just curious what you're thinking. Or why don't you at least start us off on this and see if we can kind of get into it together. In other words, try and make it safer for people to answer. A third reason may be that they weren't prepared. That's why there's silence. So reading that in the room is more difficult because they don't tend to fess up on that. But some sort of a quick check-in, verbal check-in of how ready people are with the pre-work, just double checking, did they get it? Have they had a chance to review it? Or saying something like, I'm going to summarize the main points of our case, and then let's continue the discussion based on that. So you kind of make it easy to get into it, hopefully with a little support. Finally, it may be that the question itself was too broad and therefore hard for people to get their arms around. So try and refine the question. Know which direction you in fact want to take it when you ask the question, or know which person you want to ask. So be more precise about the topic or the question or the person you're asking. So instead of saying, so does anyone have any thoughts about anything? And obviously you spell out something about this company, pinpoint the exact topic and perhaps direct it to a specific student. So I'm curious to hear someone's thoughts, X's thoughts on the airline strategy, or, I'm curious about your thoughts on this, Kendall, and have Kendall respond. All of this is to say that when the silence occurs, part of it is how you react to it. And your own reaction is part of this. So if you're uncomfortable with silence, then maybe you immediately start answering the question yourself. So in part, it's up to your tolerance and your sort of time frame. But you can also move on from one cold call to another. If someone's not answering, you can move on to another one and someone else might be able to fill it in. And finally, just decide if you feel that the silence will help spur some thinking and that you want to stick with the silence, then stick with it and wait for the group to jump in. Groups do jump in often in the silence. It can be uncomfortable for you and uncomfortable for the group, but often you get a better response. It's your choice. Lots of reasons why this may happen, lots of ways in which you can resolve it.